Peace, peace. This is A and B, African Man Born, on the Culture Speaks, a true hip hop podcast for those who live it. Let's get into it.
I am hip-hop culture, predator to vultures. Rappers getting high, spitting lines, I be sober. Never need an entourage, Pano who holds us down when I come around. Massachusetts soul child, say me in your masu. Knowledge will surpass you. Silly rap crews, walking shady as they move. I am the God man, I be living in the proof.
I'm ready.
I be teaching all the youth on the elements they use. Turn the television off. All the lies got us pruned like an old plum. Government is plotting on our sons, and we disrespect our daughters as we living in the slum.
Peace. Welcome back to the Culture Speaks.
And we stay mad, front and tough. I be calling devils bluffs. Rap vet in my truck, hustling for every buck. I don't deal with luck, I just put in work and build it up. Make decisions like a grown man and play my future rough. For the unity to take it over, gather everyone. This is who I am as I'm representing hip-hop. I will take a stand while I'm representing hip-hop. Gotta be my best as I'm representing hip-hop.
Welcome back to the Culture Speaks, a true hip-hop podcast for those who live it. All right, so in the last segment before the break, I told you about rap and then the industry and how the industry uses the culture, kind of exploits it for monetary gain. All right, that's the industry, you know what I'm saying? And that's what's being used, and it's the most popular form of hip-hop today, and it's been that way for over 30, 40 years. All right, so now at this point, we need to drop the knowledge of it. So here's the thing about rap music and MCing, poetry, rhythm and poetry, as I call it, right? Rap music, the reason why it's the most important voice is because we're the news of the culture, if we're telling the truth. But also we can be the detriment to the culture because we're not telling the truth. If we're pushing things that have nothing to do with unity, love, peace, then we become a detriment. If we're not telling a message, if we're not telling a story, if we're not telling the proper story, then we become a detriment to the culture and to the people. Because hip-hop culture starts with Nubian folks and Latinos. And a lot of Latinos actually are Nubians, descendants of Nubians. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we are the same people, just different language and different locations of where we come from. And really, when you talk about like the Puerto Ricans especially, right? Last episode, I told you that you can't exclude the Puerto Ricans because they were a big, huge part of hip hop culture and its development. You know what I mean? And if you think about it, you know what I mean? That holds true till today, right? Now, all of these things, you know, the culture has gained billions of dollars, but who did it gain billions of dollars for, right? So you get a lot of distortion, a lot of misinformation, a lot of ignorance that comes about in a culture that should be celebrated with the same energy that it was built off of. But if you look at the time that it was back in the 70s, early 70s and late 60s, there was poverty going on. There was buildings being burnt. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, the DJs came together and they did their little parties, widely argued about, by the way. So I always keep putting that in there because, you know, when you talk about DJ Hollywood and Grandmaster Flowers and you talk about other greats that were doing this, all right, they were doing it in Manhattan while Kool Herc was doing it in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So Kool Herc always obviously is going to get the props for creating the culture. So down the line, the DJ was doing, according to certain sources, the DJ was the one doing the breaking, the MCing, the graffiti, you know what I'm saying? And all these other things that was going on, you know what I'm saying? So it's DJing, breaking, graffiti, and MCing, and then the knowledge is the fifth element, right? But a lot of times you don't see DJs really talk on the mic unless they would like at the mic there and they would talk about the next song or get on the dance floor, stuff like that. So then the MC came about, all right? And the MC pretty much talked about, you know, the DJ and how dope the DJ was and how his scratches were on point and all these other things, all right? Which scratches came by way of Grand Wizard Theodore. You know what I'm saying? Grand Wizard Theodore was the one who created the scratch. For those who know hip-hop know that that's true. For those who didn't know that, look it up yourself. Grand Wizard Theodore. You know what I'm saying? Look that up. So, when it comes to MCing, a lot of guys, they put their rhymes together. Coke LaRock, who was looked at as the first MC, All right, which he never takes credit for, by the way. He doesn't take credit for being the first MC. All right, he pretty much was part of that class with Pebbly Pool, and then later on down the line you had the Melly Mel's, and you had the Keith Cowboys, you had King Tim III, and then later on you had the Sugar Hill Gang. Later on you had the Cold Crush Brothers, Fantastic Five. These are all MCs that came out. You know what I'm saying? And the purpose of MCing was pretty much projecting the message of the DJ, and then at a certain point, you started projecting the message of the community. That's where Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five came about with the message. They started projecting the message of the community and what was going on. And these were the things that hip hop were about. We was also about the party too. So therefore, you had a balance of those like Sugar Hill Gang who talked about the parties, and then you had those who were talking about what's going on in the state of the world today and what's going on in their world, because you know their world is different from other people's world. You know what I'm saying? And then that translated into the record companies starting to put interest in rappers because it was a marketing thing. You know what I'm saying? But the whole purpose of rap is to bring the voice to the community and be the voice of the community. You know what I'm saying? So we had, you know, when New Edition came out, they was looked at as an R&B group, an R&B boy group. But New Edition had a lot of hip hop elements within their music. They were young, they were fresh, they were vibrant, they were attractive to the community, but they also rapped their ass off. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to Cool It Now, and you know what I'm saying, and you listen to Mr. Telephone Man and all of these other songs, you know what I'm saying? When you listen to these songs, and even all the way until like the 90s, these guys rapped on songs. Ralph Tresvant rapped on many different songs. You know what I'm saying? Bobby Brown had a whole album where he did it, rap and sang. All right, a lot of people say Lauryn Hill was the first. No, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't really. I mean, I could be wrong, but Bobby Brown was probably the first big artist to put rap and R&B together and make it popular. Lauryn Hill came 10 years later, you know, with Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which is one of the dopest hip hop albums, hip hop soul albums I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? And it's still widely one of the greatest hip hop creations of all time. You know, sits right next to Illmatic and right next to Into the 36 Chambers of Wu-Tang, sits right next to Paid in Full by Rakim, sits right next to all of these great albums that came out. Now, as rappers, they started to have a sidetrack of content and direction. Not necessarily the fault of the rappers, because they were trying to get their money and trying to do their thing, but it was also being used to steer people away. And that's where you hear Busy Bone. I think it was Busy Bone. Nah, it was Lazy Bone or Crazy Bone. One of them was talking about a letter. Now, I've talked about this letter way before they did. I've talked about this letter at least 2010, 2011. All right, but nobody was hearing me. You know what I mean? So it takes famous people to say it. You know what I mean? But the letter about the secret meeting that happened in 1991, you know what I'm saying? But there was a bunch of secret meetings that happened like that. But in the secret meeting where the prison and industrial system needed rap music to direct the young men to go to jail so they can make money off the prison system, so they can build more prisons and become multi-million dollar industries off of other people's lives. This right here is where you see the degradation of the culture and the degradation of rap music. So that's why we say hip hop, rap music is the most important voice of the culture, because really, I mean, you could do a lecture, but only certain people are going to come to lectures. But if you hear a dope rap song that talks about what's going on in the world, it will stick with you, because the rhythm, the poetry, the music, the frequency, it's going to attract you. So we should be we should have a balance. So that's why I say rap is an important piece, an important voice, is the most important voice of the culture. So when we come back off the break, I'm gonna conclude it by giving you the pretty much my philosophy with factology on rap. You know what I'm saying? That's why I call it Rapology. All right? I'll see you on the next segment.